Hello again, everyone. In this lecture, what I'm going to do is tell you about how the course is designed, and in the process of that, try to make you successful. I will almost guarantee you've not taken a course like this. It's mastery design and mastery quizzing are usually not done, and the reason is that it takes so much time. Well, we're online. It's all done. And the time I'm talking about is not your time, it's the professor's time. Um, we're giving you a chance to learn by doing. That is to learn in repetition, to make mistakes and then improve. It's a tried and true process that you'd find on many jobs that you would start. Hi, you're a new employee. Do this. I don't know how. Well, just give it a shot and we'll talk about it. And then what do? You review it, you look at it, and your boss makes recommendation for changes, and you go back and you change it and you bring it back. And what do? You look at it, and now there's a few other things to change, and you go back. And in the end, you didn't know what you were doing, and you got a perfect report out to your boss or project or whatever it is that you're doing. That's what we're doing in testing. And I want you to see how this works. And indeed, this only works if you play the game, if you understand the rules and you don't try to skirt it. And I'll talk a little bit about that. So, first thing, this course is built in modules. You already know that. It has two different types: quiz-based or chapter-based modules from your primary textbook, and then economic data evidence assignments in those other three. And I'm not going to talk a lot about that, but I am going to put it in your mind so you don't forget those. But this is mostly about the quiz base, about the testing. So modules have to be completed in order. You must succeed on a module in order to see the next module. In particular, what this breaks down to is you must complete all three attempts at your quiz in order for the next module content to open. You must score a certain level in order for the next quiz to open. So let's say you don't do well. You've taken all three, and we're going to have an intervention. All right, and you'll see how that comes up here in a minute. Well, while we're talking about your performance, you're free to work on the next module, and indeed you should, because you don't want to fall behind. So you can read the rest of the next chapters, see the videos, see the lectures. You just can't take the quiz. And once we solve the intervention issue of your low score, then you can go to the next quiz. And again, that turns out to be kind of complicated once we start intervening, but it's all designed to get your grade to the highest level because while I don't really like grades, what I like is learning, and getting your grade higher means you've learned more. All right, so what else? We This mastery-based quizzing and learning pedagogy is the fundamental difference between this course and other online courses. I'm not saying nobody uses this, but it is not often put together. It takes a lot of effort. But remember, I've been doing this since 2003. Now, I'll mention briefly the economic evidence assignments. They're not quiz based. It's not what is. This video is talking about, and each of these will be introduced in their own module. So I really don't have to do much more here than for you to understand these are not based on quizzes that you have to study for that are attached to the textbook um, that we have. All right, period, done. Okay, what do we want to talk about? We're going to talk about the quiz-based modules. They come in, I think there are 12 of them there, and they come in foundation, microeconomics, macroeconomics, and you can see the due dates every Tuesday. Look at all the due dates. It's every Tuesday. That should be something to help you succeed right there. You know it's coming, right? But let's talk about this one on the right-hand side because that's what we want to focus on. So when you go into your course and you open it up, how do you get started? You go to content. Don't go anywhere else. Go to content and then start looking down. Don't run this course from the calendar, not my calendar, but the built-in calendar. Don't run this course by looking around in the menus and trying to figure out what's next. Run this course by opening content and doing things in order. So this is the first thing you'll see, and I do try to help you out because let's say it's the first day you've opened up this module. I do say things like this has 39 minutes of video. That's just simply to help you your time, and I try to keep that accurate, but it'll be close. All right, so I might change a video, went from 10 minutes to 20. All right, so it's 49 minutes of video, but that's a lot different than if I have a module that says we've got 300 minutes of video. I don't know if I have one of those, but I'm just using that as an example. Okay, so when you go to content, you then click on the module you want. Now, this works out pretty well in terms of staying in order until you get a little deeper in the course, because the only thing you can see right now is probably module one. Everything opens successful one after another. Sorry, bad word. Uh, so you want to click on this, and then the next module, module 2A, will open up when you finish module 1. Module 2B will open up when you finish module 2A. And here's module 2B. Again, we started at content and we go down and we click, because now you should be able to see all the modules down to the current one you're working on. Module 3 would not be available to you. I'm the teacher, you're seeing my screen, so you get to see more. But you're going to be presented with that module when it is ready for you to take it. Again, remember I told you you could see the module if you took 3 attempts on a previous quiz. Well, that's not true in this case, simply because module 2B is the first grade or quiz-based module. So module 2B opens up and you can see it right there under where it says due September 6th. There are conditions that open this module, and in this case you submitted your review of economics in one lesson. You got a grade, item, module 2A status. I set that by looking to see if indeed you have submitted, and so forth. So there's ways that this opens up for you. Now, where do we go from here? Every module that's quiz-based looks like this. You start at the top and you read some introduction stuff, right? So I've always got introduction in there, and then you go down and you will find some various things. You'll probably find a chapter introduction, various lectures that I've put in there. There's chapter content from the chapters, and there's what I call chapter enhancements, and these are extra videos and so forth to help you understand. I use a lot of videos. Students react very well to those, and I want you to react well. I want you to learn this, and video helps a lot in these kind of cases. Now, when you finish, say, the first chapter, it'll say, is there another chapter in this module? Yes, because in module 2B, it's chapter 1 and 2. You can see that outline on the important dates. Every module is lined up with what chapters are to be read. So you go back and you repeat it, and you go through this thing again. And then it says, if there's another chapter in this module, no, well, you did 2 modules, time to take the quiz. Okay, so let's talk about that. When you take the quiz, we're striving for a perfect 10. That is to get mastery. And mastery here is that you scored a 10, all right? It may not be the greatest method, but it's the one we got. You score a 10, you've mastered the content. Yay, move on. Now, you're going to take the module quiz, and then you're going to get a score. Now, that score, a 10? Yes. Well, then complete the module learning assessment, or the module evaluation as it's called here. That's called learning assessment in the course, and you're done. You move on to the next module, right? Because you got a 10. But what if you took that first quiz and you didn't get a 10? Well, was it the third time you took the quiz? Then complete the module evaluation and move on, no matter what score you got. If not, go back up and take the quiz again. All right, so it's pretty easy. Now, a couple things. You're going to get 3 attempts. Each quiz of 10 questions is a 15-minute time limit. Um, and the questions that make up those quizzes are rated in difficulty according to these 3 categories. I'll talk a little bit about that more. Most of the questions in the modules are conceptual and analytic, but I can show you where you can find out exactly how many are of those things. Now, how does it work? Well, you study, you take a quiz. You study more, you take a quiz. You study more, you take a quiz. The problem is sometimes you say, well, I studied all I can do and I took the quiz and I didn't do very well. What do I study now? You don't really have a clue what to study. Well, that's part of the process here that you've got to understand is finding out what and how to study. So what we want to do is have you take the quiz after you've studied for the module, and the quiz becomes 2 things. It's a record of what you know right at the moment and how you interpreted your knowledge on that quiz, right? Um, but it's your first attempt. It also is going to reveal your weaknesses, right? So maybe you took this quiz and you missed 3 questions. So review those questions, open up the quiz, go back, look at what the questions are, figure out why the answer that is marked correct is correct and your answer that you chose is wrong. And that focuses your study because every quiz question is based upon a learning objective. Every learning objective is covered in your textbook. You just have to find the section, right? So if it says you didn't do well on this concept, then go look in your book for that concept. Focus your study. Then take the second quiz. Once again, maybe you don't score perfectly. Review your misses and figure out why the correct answer is different than the answer you chose. And try to get that, focus your study again, and then take quiz 3. And at that point, you live with it, right? So, but the expectation is your third quiz is higher than your second's higher than your first. And that's a pattern I look for. Um, I don't want to see your first quiz being a 9 and the next 2 quizzes being 3s because I know what you did. All right. So we're improving at all times. It's continuous improvement. And being engineers, you ought to understand continuous process improvement. Now, this maximizes your grade. All right. And but I've already told you I don't care about grade. It actually maximizes your learning. So how do you know what these quiz questions are? Well, remember I told you on a previous video that you had a couple of menu items. What is in each quiz? Well, this example, this is module 3, and every question in module 3, 1 through 10, are rated by a learning objective and difficulty. That is, when you go in there, look, it's not the same quiz every time you take it, right? There's maybe, for that first question, there may be 30 questions, 60 questions in the database on explain the influences on demand. There's a lot of different types of questions you can ask, but they're all on that learning objective. And the difficulty for question number 1 is C, which is complex. What is complex? It means it requires at least one logical step. So it's not memorization. An R is memorization. Now look through chapter 3. What do you see? There's only one that is recognition and recall. Recognition and recall means I can see that. I remember seeing it in the book. The answer's probably in the book. I could do that. If you had time, you could actually go look it up. You could probably find it. But that's a losing strategy, right? But nevertheless, recognition and recall memorization is not what this course is based on. It's based on understanding complex problems and A problems. What's an A? It's an analytic, requires multiple steps. All right. Now, I can give you an example real quick. If I say income has increased, all right, or no, I'm sorry. Let me give you first a complex example. A complex example requires one or more steps. So I say, here's a supply and demand graph. and demand increases. What happens to price? Well, you increase the demand and you look and see what happens to price, and you'll figure that out when you get into module 3. That's one step. That's all you need to know. But if I ask the same question and I say, here's a supply and demand graph, what happens if incomes increase? Now you have to know that incomes shift the demand curve and what direction, then shift the demand curve, that's step 2, and then find out what the price is. So you see what I mean? So an analytic is multiple steps or layers of applied knowledge. Now, there's another menu item. How hard is each quiz? Okay, well, what do I mean by that? Actually, this is kind of arbitrary, but it's to alert you to the fact that your module 2 is and module 15 are probably the easiest ones. Why? Because they contain the most recognition and recall questions and the least number of analytic questions. Actually, both those have none. And I just gave a difficulty weight. I said a complex question's worth 10, the analytic question's worth 100, and I created this arbitrary scale. But it puts modules in order, and it does show you that modules 3, 4, and 7, you're going to have to really be on your game because there's a lot of problem solving there. In fact, my argument is while 2 is important, Module 3 and Module 4 are the most important module in the entire course. And I can almost guarantee you, if you don't do well in 3 and 4, it will be all semester you trying to catch up because of what you missed early on. So front load this course. A lot of your other courses don't front load, so spend your time making sure that you conquer those. So don't take the quizzes back to back. If you do, you're likely to see a report from me that looks like this. Attempt number 1 was 2015. See how long I've been doing this? But it's a good example, so I leave it. Attempt number 1 was taken at and finished at 4:37 p.m. And I know you could only have 15 minutes, so we could figure out when it was begun. Attempt number 2, actually tells you. Attempt number 2 began after 0 minutes. Attempt number 3 began after 3 minutes. All right. So obviously there's no review, no study. You don't even know what you missed. So if this quiz is designed well, and we spent a lot of time designing these quizzes, making sure that everything was oriented by learning objective and level of difficulty. That is, there may be 60 questions, but in someone's opinion that looked at these, all 60 questions test the same learning objective and are at the same level of difficulty. So, what was this example? They missed questions 6 and 10 every single time. Why? Because you didn't stop after attempt 1 to see, well, I missed 6, which is define, calculate, and explain the factors that influence the price elasticity of demand. There's your focus study. There is a section in your text on price elasticity of demand and the factors that influence it. So if you miss 6, go review that. Figure out what you did on the problem. Now, you may get a different problem for 6 the next time, but you won't make the same mistake. And chances are you learn enough to get it right. But if these quizzes are well designed, you'll get the same score every time. All right. There's a little bit of random influence. There's a little bit of guessing game, but please don't play the lottery. Taking it 3 times in a row never, in my experience, leads to, oh, I got a 10. I don't know a thing, but I got a 10 because I took them 3 times in a row. It doesn't work. All right. They really do test your learning, and that's what we're after. Now, the last thing you must do in each of the quiz-based modules is complete a learning assessment. And you can see where the arrow is pointing there, complete the module evaluation. You've got to know your scores. All right. So was your best score, and by the way, if you haven't figured this out or seen it in the syllabus, after your 3 quizzes, you get the highest score, right? Not the last score, not the average, but the highest score. So if your best score is 6 or less, then I'm going to send you a message requiring an online meeting. Now, an online meeting could be an exchange of emails, or it could be a video conference where we sit down and work out something. But obviously, 3 attempts and you're scoring at a D minus level, 60%, something's wrong. And because this course, as one of my undergraduate advisors described, is like a snowball rolling downhill, it just keeps getting bigger. So if you miss something early on, you don't have the foundation to move on. Um, Try to complete chapter, picking random numbers, complete chapter 4 out of a calculus book, having never read chapters 1, 2, and 3. You get the idea, right? Now, what if your best score is 7? It's 70%, it's a minus, C minus, right? Well, I'm going to warn you, and I may send you some intervention strategies. Um, and of course, you can request a meeting at any time if you want to, but I'm probably letting you move on with a 7. I will tell you right now, no one in this course will move on from modules 2 and or 3 and 4. No one who scores less than a 9 and I want a 10. All right. I'm just not going to allow it because I know from my, what now, 44 years of experience, you mess up modules 3 and 4, you're going to be running fast all term trying to catch up. So I'm going to send you a warning message. If the score is 8, 9, or 10, generally I'm moving you on. But again, my exception is early on in the course, I'm very tight about that. Late in the course, I'm very easy about that. So you're not going to find me hassling you a whole lot in week 12 because you got an 8. I'm going to move you on because I figure by that time you've got this course, you know what's going on, you're doing the best you can, so forth. Here's a final picture. It just shows the overall learning strategy. You can freeze screen, take a look at it if you want. I think it's also the next item in the introductory module. And I wish you a lot of luck this term, a lot of success, and I hope you do well. You can reach me anytime. Just reach out, send me an email. Remember that tagline so I make sure I see it. Have a great day.